Hello everyone, I'm Chiara from Spezzeria Palazzo Vecchio and today I'm going to talk about dysbiosis, which is an imbalance involving the intestinal microbiota. But what is microbiota? The microbiota is the set of bacterial colonies that populate our intestine, to not be confused with microbiome, which is the genetic patrimony possessed by the microbiota. All the cells of our body contain DNA and therefore genes, which are used to make cells differentiate and perform useful functions to the body. The genes of microbiome are different from the genes of our cells, which means that microbiome allows intestinal bacteria to perform functions that our cells alone could not perform. The microbiota performs a lot of very important and useful functions for our body. First of all, a metabolic function. In fact, it produces essential vitamins such as vitamin K and vitamin B, fatty acids and amino acids. It has a structural function for the development of intestinal cells called enterocytes and for the functionality of the tight junction that hold these enterocytes together. It has a protective action against the action of pathogens. Many intestinal bacterial species, in fact, produce bacteriocides, which keep unwanted guests away. It also has an immune function. In fact, it produces immunoglobulins, which is why a substantial part of our immune system resides in the intestine. Thanks to the microbiota, there is the intestine-brain axis communication. That is, just like the brain and therefore our emotions often influence the state of our intestine, also intestine affects some brain functions. Thanks to all these functions performed by the microbiota, the gastrointestinal tract becomes a complex ecosystem in which there is a dynamic balance between microbiota, the host, and diet. The microbiota has an absolute influence on homeostasis and therefore influences our state of health. All these functions are carried out effectively only if the microbiota is balanced, that is, when the different bacterial colonies of which it is composed maintain a stable growth. The inappropriate use of antibiotics, alcohol abuse, an inadequate diet or chronic inflammatory bowel disease, or simply stress alter this balance. In this situation, the bacterial colonies are less able to control each other's growth, and this can lead to the proliferation of one or more of them that can further damage the others, thus creating a vicious cycle. In this situation, we go towards intestinal dysbiosis. Dysbiosis hesitates almost always in two major consequences. The first one, microbial colonies also excrete different types of waste byproducts called toxins, and under normal circumstances, using different waste removal mechanisms, the body effectively handles these byproducts with little or no difficulty. Unfortunately, colonies of inappropriate size, due to their increase in numbers, excrete greater amounts of these byproducts, and too high levels of waste byproducts can overload the body's waste removal mechanism. The second consequence is a permeable bowel syndrome. Remember that the intestinal mucosa is a barrier, a filter, that serves to ensure that undigested substances, waste substances, bacterial toxins found in the intestinal lumen do not go into circle. And to do this, the junctions that unite the cells of the mucosa need to be well closed. Okay, consider the junctions as the meshes of this filter. When there is dysbiosis, inflammation of the intestinal mucosa is created, which breaks this junction. Then the filter meshes widen. Intestine acts as a sieve and passes everything that it should not into the circulation. And this can cause alteration of the blood-brain barrier, increased inflammation, increased autoimmunity, and malabsorption of nutritional substances. The combination of these two negative results causes many negative health symptoms, In fact, the alteration of the bacterial flora is also linked to all the bacterial problems of the intestinal tract, such as cystitis, candida, canker sore, and mucosal problems or skin problems, such as impure skin, acne, but also dermatitis or psoriasis. To avoid all these, it is necessary to act upstream by restoring the balance of the bacterial flora, eliminating harmful bacteria and repopulating the intestine with the good ones. In this way, it will be possible to restore and repair the structure of the intestine and prevent it from filtering and bringing into circulation toxins and harmful agents. In this regard, a very useful remedy is represented by Lactobacillus acidophilus. We have already mentioned it when we talked about intestinal disorders, because it is a probiotic that produces compounds that inhibit the growth of other pathogenic microorganisms and the elimination of toxins produced by proteolytic bacteria. Once this is done, it is essential to start a detoxification process, that is to purify the body of the toxin put into circulation and de-inflammation the tissues that suffer the effects of dysbiosis. That's why I want to talk about milk thistle, which is the purifying plant par excellence. In fact, it helps purify the body of toxins, especially the liver. It's very useful when inflammation causes skin problems such as acne and furunculosis. The second plant I would like to talk about is beerberry. Beerberry is recommended by the German Commission E for the treatment of acute and chronic urinary tract infections, including cystitis. This property is given by hydroquinone glycosides, which are molecules that are broken down into the intestine into glucose and hydroquinone. The latter is excreted by the kidneys and reaches the urinary tract, where it has an antibacterial and antiseptic action, preventing the growth of bacteria responsible for infections, such as Escherichia coli or Staphylococcus aureus. It also acts as a diuretic, promoting the elimination of the microorganisms responsible for the infection. It is useful in the event that dysbiosis causes, and this is very frequent, cystitis and candida. Now I would like to talk about three important plants. They are dandelion, birch, and orthosiphon. They are all diuretic and they increases the excretion from the body of toxic substances. Last but not least, to protect from oxidative stress caused by infections or intoxications, it is good to use antioxidant substances such as curcumin from turmeric, coenzyme Q10, rhodiola rosea, and resveratrol. Well, we have introduced all these active ingredients in various supplements, one of which we have already met when we talked about intestinal problems, and is lactobacillina, our probiotic containing Lactobacillus acidophilus. I would like to clarify that this formula will soon be enhanced with the addition of other types of probiotics. The second supplement is CD patina with milk thistle, dandelion, artichoke, and birch, and it's indicated for detoxifying the liver and consequently also the whole body from toxin. The third supplement is urogen arbutina with orthosiphon, beerberry, and cranberry for those who have connected urinary tract infection due to dysbiosis. The last supplement is Immuno 6, so called because it contains 6 active ingredients including resveratrol, curcumin, coenzyme Q10, and rhodiola rosea that can help cells protect themselves from oxidative stress caused by inflammation. Before taking these supplements, I recommend you to print the product sheet from the link I have placed here on the left and show it to your doctor to better consult about it. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for being with us. A greeting from Spezieria Palazzo Vecchio.